I think in this country we overtax labour, overtax people's work, and we undertax wealth. And I think
that's a very fundamental question.
I think it's a very fundamental question, and I think that issue has grown and grown and grown as a problem the more we've seen the emergence of extreme wealth, and it's, you know, we can see it all around us. Take an example. Here's something I would like to see personally: a land value tax, because we have people.
That's an old Liberal policy. I can remember the old Liberal Party going on about a land value tax
for good reason. I think Vince Cable, used to support it, and I think
many of them did
for good reason, because it's a very productive form of taxation, because you make sure that land is used for good, productive purposes, and if people are sitting on it and hoarding it, they get taxed, and that money can come back and be redistributed.
Andrew Murray Burnham is Labour's new Prime Minister, and he has mentioned a land value tax. A land value tax is an annual fee charged on the value of a piece of land, ignoring any building, houses or improvements on top of it. The land value tax is to replace council tax and stamp duty. It will be the responsibility of the landowner to pay this proportional property tax. The fee proposed is 0.48% per annum based on the current market value of the land. Landlords and overseas owners would pay 0.96% per annum. No, it's not fair that Philip with a 3-bed terrace in Burnley is paying more council tax than Philip with a 3-bed terrace in Kensington. It's equally not fair to charge Ethel on a state pension who bought a 3-bed terrace in Notting Hill in 1970 that's now worth £2.1 million, £10,080 in land value tax per annum. Where do you expect her to get the money from? And no, I don't think she should sell her house if she doesn't want to. Newsflash, the average person can't afford a £2.1 million home. So you're not freeing up properties at this end of the market for the average first-time buyer. There is a CIC company called the Fairer Tax Campaign, and they are lobbying for the government to replace council tax and stamp duty with this proportional property tax, land value tax. Side note, one of the directors was advocating for the replacement of business rates with a land value tax. They opened a petition on the 23rd of January 2026, and the petition closed on the 23rd of July 2026. And the petition is to commission a full independent review of council tax and stamp duty. The petition received over 100,000 signatures, so the review will be considered for a debate in Parliament. This is good news for homeowners with valuations under 300 grand. First-time buyers don't pay stamp duty under this rate anyway. The land value tax is £1,440 per annum. So, for example, this property is in council tax band D, which is charged at £2,599.91 per annum. There is a saving of £1,159.91. Got some questions in regard to this land value tax. How's it going to work? So a piece of wasteland where people dump their unwanted mattress and fridges is valued the same as a piece of land the exact same size across the road with a development of 200 flats. How does that encourage the owner of the wasteland to do something productive with the land? If you speak to landowners, sometimes you find they would love to do something with their land, but planning permission for buildings can take years, so it's not always a land banking issue, but sometimes a planning issue. And if a property developer builds 200 flats, they need to know they will get a sale on all the units. Excuse me, have you seen the economic state of this country? This is a buyer's market, and flats are not exactly flying off the shelf right now. At some point, you have to take what's on the land into consideration. Owner-occupiers on benefits. Will they get a reduced land value tax like they do with council tax? Or will they not have to pay the land value tax because of their earnings? Owner-occupiers who are single, will they still get a single person's discount on the land value tax? Landlords, let's be real, regardless of who the tenants are, benefits, students, the rents will be getting raised. Right now, benefit tenants and students get either a reduced or pay no council tax. So if the landlord is going to be charged the full land value tax, that is going to be reflected in the rent. Leaseholders, you don't own any land. So the freeholders are responsible for paying the land value tax, and you are absolutely delusional if you think the freeholders will not be recharging the leaseholders. Freeholders can't magically increase the ground rent for existing leases, and there is no ground rent on new leases, so some way, somehow, the service charge is gonna take a hit. If you follow the channel, you know some service charges are already wild and exceed 1% of the property's value, which can have lending problems. Will mortgage lenders change their policy on lending now to consider, can the borrower afford the land value tax? Will this stop some first-time buyers getting onto the market? Will this stop maybe second-time buyers upscaling or downgrading? Right now, lenders do not take into consideration whether you can or you can't pay council tax, but they will have to take into consideration if you can pay the land value tax. And as mentioned in a previous video, nobody is beefing with the French, and stamp duty should have been abolished a long time ago. How does Andy Burnham propose to value land? Are we using the resources that's already there? Commercial estate agents, land valuers? Are there enough land valuers? Do we need more land valuers? Do the people need to be trained? When will they be trained? How will they be trained? Is it a weekend course in Wembley, or do they need a whole entire qualification? How long will it take to get this qualification? Or will a VOA use AI and desktop valuations? Where is the money coming from to pay for all of this? And how often are these valuations going to take place? Obviously, land in cities and towns that's highly populated and well invested into will pay more. If you follow the channel, you will have seen properties that have lost value in the last 10 years or so. If land has lost value, is everybody in that road or in that area going to get a tax rebate? If you bought a property for 300 grand 10 years ago, and your area is in decline, boarded up shops, lack of employment, and you sell that property today for 225 grand, what is the policy for a revaluation? The land that your property stands on has lost money because the area is in decline. And right now, that is actually a thing. So, are we going to do valuations every 2.5 years, every 5 years? The administration of all of this, Right now in England, there are areas, postcodes that are in decline. So we kind of need to be doing re-evaluations on a regular basis to make sure the land value tax that people are paying is up to date and accurate. What happens to owner-occupiers who fall on hard times and can't pay the land value tax? Will HMRC repossess? Where do local councils make up the money lost from council tax? Land and property that is held by the Crown, will they pay the land value tax? Just asking. In my opinion, your home and basic food is a necessity and should not be taxed at all. That's just my opinion.
Your team says scrapping stamp duty and council tax are not under active consideration. Could you reassure people looking to buy right now that you won't change or scrap stamp duty in the next budget?
Yes, I can say that quite clearly. That won't be happening. And, you know, I don't know actually where some of the stories that have appeared over the last 24 hours have come from. It seems that somebody, you know, within, I don't know, 100 yards of me can say something, and then all of a sudden it's my policy, or someone can pass me something and then I support everything within the document. It's just not the case that we are bringing forward plans on that scale at this moment in time. So I'm quite happy to give you that clarification.
Governments of all colours will say one thing and do the complete opposite. So let's remember the Fairer Tax campaign has a campaign going at the moment, and there is also the budget in October. Let's get into the review. The big question: would you buy to live, buy to let, or does Leeds need more investment before you even think about it? Let's have a butcher's and see what I want. Today we are viewing a freehold 5-bed, 2 reception, 1 bathroom through end of terrace house. The on-street parking is free and there is a tiny front yard and a backyard. From Leeds train station, it is a 13-minute drive, 22 minutes on the bus, 43-minute walk and a 13-minute cycle. There is no storage in this house, but there is a cellar. The EPC rating is E, bit of work to do, and the house is 162 square meters. We have done a review for a property around the corner, so we know this is a conservation and Article 4 area. The video for that review is linked at the end. This is another ex-rental property for sale, and it was tenanted up to 6 months ago. The tenant was a benefit tenant, so if we take it, they were on the 4-bed rate for Leeds. That is £1,196.69 per coming month. Did you know once upon a time, probably going back about 20 years ago, there was actually a 5-bed rate in Leeds? Let's talk about the price. The property is marketed at 225 grand, but we only have 210 grand in the kitty. Since the property has been on the market, it has sold and is now being re-offered. So, would you offer the top of the budget or offer a bit less? This is a buyer's market. How much would you offer? I love chunky houses, good Victorian spacious properties. I think this is a fantastic buy. Subject to the legals, subject to a survey, and subject to how you feel about the area. First time buyers, what are you thinking? Is this property a buy or is it a pass? If you are a married couple, this is like a semi-destination house. You can have 3 children in this house and they can have their own bedroom each. Plus, you still have a bedroom for the grandparents to come over at the weekend and babysit. You can have the main living room, and the back living room can be a children's playroom. Or you can have 2 children have a playroom upstairs and the back living room as a dining room. If, for example, 2 brothers are buying this property, they can have their own bedroom each. Plus, they can each have a dressing room and turn the smallest bedroom into an office that they can share. Say they are both musicians, drummers. They can turn the back living room into a music space and practice their drumming. The property is an end of terrace and the back room is independent of any neighbours, so you might just get away with it. Or you can live in the smallest bedroom and rent out the other 4 or 5 rooms once the property has had a little wee bit of a refurb. Renting out a room to 2 or 3 people is okay, but any more people, you might just want to add an additional bathroom. This is a very spacious 5-bedroom house, and there is so much opportunities, so many different people that can buy, so many different things that you can do with this property. Let's run through the purchase costs. Based on the offer price of 210 grand, because that's all we've got in the kitty, a 15% deposit is £31,500. The mortgage arrangement fee is roughly 2 grand. The mortgage valuation fee, roughly £300. The mortgage broker fee, roughly £800, including VAT. Solicitors would roughly cost £1,500, including VAT for the conveyancing. Building surveyor fee, roughly £1 grand, including VAT. Contingency money, 2 grand. The cost to collect the keys is £39,100 plus £150 for a locksmith to change the locks. People, we're broke. There is no money left to do a refurb because the deposit we've got is 40 grand. So it's either everybody gets a second job or we do the refurb slowly over the next 5 years. Looking at the numbers for monthly ongoing costs, the mortgage rate at 6%, your broker will let you know your personal mortgage rate. The monthly mortgage is £892.50. This property is in Leeds Council Tax Band A, which is £126.19 per coming month, £200 for maintenance, £50 for insurance. The monthly costs before utility bills and a food shop is £1,268.69. Landlords, we are up north. Do you think you will get a 10% gross yield on this property? The purchase costs are the same, with the exception of the deposit and stamp duty. Landlords pay a deposit of 25%, so that's £52,500, and a stamp duty cost of £12,200. The cost to collect the keys is £72,300. Looking at rentals, what are 5-bed, 1-baths in the local area on the property for? There are no 5 beds to do a direct comparison, so we will have a look at 4 beds for a rough idea. As mentioned earlier, the 4-bed LHA rate for Leeds is £1,196.69 per coming month. Landlords might be thinking, would they turn this into a HMO, House of Multiple Occupancy? Looking at rooms in the local area, what are they on the market for? Landlords may also be thinking this property would be great for a short-term let. Looking at short-term rentals in the local area, how much can we charge per night for 10 guests? Let's have a look at the numbers for short-term stays. Mortgage rate at 6%, your broker will let you know your personal mortgage rate. That is £787.50 per coming month. Landlord insurance, 50 quid. Council tax, £126.19. Utilities, including broadband and a TV package, £400. Maintenance at £250. Housekeepers, OTA fees, etc. at £400. The monthly ongoing costs are £2,013.69. So 15 nights at £585 is £8,775. That is a good profit. But remember, August is high season and these numbers will look very different in January. Let's do the Jim Jam test. Is the local shop close enough to pop in our gym jams on a Sunday morning. Looking at sales, what are 5-bed, 1 baths in the local area on the market for? Let's have a look at the sales history of the property. And we have our shop.